Hello, Steve here. Welcome to Red Flag Life. Living life as a person with supposed red flags. And yes, if you're not a person with red flag or flags, then yeah, that's pretty rare. If you don't have any red flags, you're rare. Or if you're self-declared no red flags, then yeah, you're less rare. But there's certainly that category of people out there. Today's episode, today's range subject matter is about female nature, the nature of females, what women want. Here we go. Welcome to episode 3, by the way, of the Red Flag Life. So, the nature of women. Here it is. This is most women. Let's work on the metric of 80%. There's this whole 80-20 concept out there. So, and I'm not going to do the whole headphone thing. The audio is crap. So, may as well do a proper crap job, right? Alright. So, this is the nature of women in a brief few minutes. I actually don't know how long this will take, but you can go on for hours, maybe even years on this stuff. So, women, by their very nature, in respect to what they value, is that women value safety and security as primaries. Men, on the other hand, value concepts like freedom, liberty, in a general sense. Okay, so why say that? Well, 80%, right? 80% of women, and most of women's decisions, the way they parent, are parented, the way they vote, the way they seek careers, the way they seek resources, the way they seek relationships, marriage, and the whole family 9 yards, is that safety and security is paramount to women. Next is the way that women see the world, and their primary way to reason is not by logic. Oh, that's sacrilege. Why? I can't be saying that. Well, it's complicated. Objectively, the way most women, which is actually to civilization, to families, to society, is important to value safety and security, for starters. But the way women reason, their primary sense of reason, is through their feelings. That to many people would sound derogatory, but the way to reason through a woman's feelings is the way that we all got here, and the way that, in some ways, the way that society is at the moment. Many would say in the West it's not that crash hot, and many would also say, oh, there's income gaps, and there's misogyny, and white male privilege and all that sort of thing. Yes, I get it. I get it. Women, particularly in the West, have immense power, even though we don't see it, we don't communicate it, and women don't want to see it or communicate it either, because they get value from not having agency, playing the victim, and what's another word for it? Sympathy. Yeah. By me saying that also indicates, suggests that I'm being derogatory. No. Feelings, emotion. Well, more accurately is emotions. By reasoning through your emotions / feelings, society has a way to not be barbaric, and in a way, like we're not clobbering each other over the head with rocks and clubs and swords and shooting at each other anymore, like through most of human history. We've got to a point of relative physical safety. Many would say we're going down the other end, but guess what? Women's voting got us to this state, but there are side effects in women's preferences for safety and security, not having violence in our society, and also women's preferences in partners has a way of weeding out particular behaviours in society too, right? Yes, there is still domestic violence and the like that many will throw out there as issues and discussion points and problems, and guess what? Let me tell you, we're much better than throughout history, especially in the West, okay? There's way less violence in general, and way less domestic violence as well in our domestic situations. And even though children, unfortunately, are still being abused, there's still a lot of abuse out there. It's better than through human history. And in some ways, women have improved a lot of children with abuse, but women have their own ways of still abusing children. And unfortunately, one of the reasons in how women abuse children is neglect, emotional neglect, their own vanity, career vanity, putting them into daycares and public schools, or public schools for that matter, but the whole formalised schooling process. So a lot of these things that I've mentioned are discussable in a long format, usually in a conversational interview type way, but these are just certain things to have in one place, yes, in certain areas of content in print, even YouTube and the like. These sort of concepts are unknown to not as many people as should know, but it is out there, and this is my effort to get it out there even more, maybe to present it in a slightly different form like it is at the moment, in living life as a person with red flag or flags. And unfortunately sometimes women have to be ruthless in their life pursuits, which often means that their divorce rate skyrockets. 80% of divorces are initiated by women. What do women want? It's complicated. Yes, I've mentioned the whole safety, security, and they reason through their emotions and feelings. That's the chassis. That's the chassis I got going for you to work on. So if you're a dude, a man, and if you encounter, if you're nodding your head, that sort of thing, well, this is where men come in and have to, unfortunately in some regards, because sometimes women bring up things just before bedding. You want to go to sleep and all that sort of thing, right? Or you need to go to work, and women just bring up these things, and you say, shut the fuck up, and things happen, and we get into arguments and that sort of thing. Well, to reason with most women, I reference the whole 80%, the whole 80% concept originated in business. I won't forget my train of thought, where 20% of your customers generate 80% of your income. It works with other facets of life, and I've just referenced the whole 80% with 80% of women value safety and security, 80% of women reason through their feelings and their emotions, right? So that's that chassis. But if you're a dude, okay, back to my original thought. If you're a guy, a husband, a boyfriend, a love prospect, a son, a brother, a grandson, a grandfather, you need to play the long game. Men, how they value freedom, liberty, which pretty much means without rulers. Well, anarchy is without rulers, but the actual term, the actual meaning of anarchy, but no restrictions, no real authority in every facet of your life. So that's what liberty is. Individual freedoms. I've probably butchered it, but that's pretty much it. Okay. So, freedom and liberty, and also the way a man reasons. Just to add scope in case the man version of this video isn't watched. Men reason through logic. Sometimes, some people will say, "Oh, that's crappy logic," and that sort of thing. Well, sometimes 20% of men, 80% logic, 20% of men are governed by their feelings and emotions, right? So it's the flip. Okay, so 20% of women got the capability of more logic. 20% of men get their decision making, their way to rationalise the world through their thoughts and reason. Their feelings and emotion. So I hope you understand what I just got at. So if you're a man out of the 80% that guide themselves through life through logic, there's other words, other concepts versus logic, but logic pretty much is the main concept umbrella where how men see the world. They're great risk takers, and so that's the picture, right? So the way to a woman's heart, if you're a dude, in a certain way, or the way to win an argument, well, no. The way to get women to understand what the man is thinking is to play the whole long game with the way women see the world, which is through their feelings and emotion. So you need to unpack the feelings and emotion. Let's take an example. Recently I was listening to a podcast on a particular call-in show about a particular event in a boyfriend-girlfriend situation. And there was an event where the dude was going to pour some oil down the sink. Oh my God! And the chick went, "No, don't do that. You can't you can't pour oil down the sink. It'll stuff up the sink." Well, and the dude's like, "How so?" "Well, I've been doing it for 20 years. It hasn't fucked up on me yet." So you see you can't do it. It'll stuff up the sink, but the dude has been doing it for 20 years. Never mind a month or a week or a year, but 20 years. And that's his reason, because 20 years, come on, there's no issue with the sink. I'm going to pour it. He just poured it. He didn't give a shit about the woman, and the woman just went, "What the fuck?" And you understand, right? The woman is now resenting this particular gent, and we have a catastrophe on our hands. And it's not about the oil. It's now about the woman is now resenting the man because he didn't listen. Listening to a woman means compliance. Listening to a man means hearing. Yeah, I listened. I heard you. Now I'm going to pour it down the sink. I'm going to pour this shit down the sink. It's not about the oil anymore, is it? The woman now thinks he defied my emotion. How dare he? And the guy is like, "What the fuck? It's just oil down the sink. I've been doing it for 20 years." The logic part. So there's the betrayal. It's like a betrayal. The man betrayed the woman, and the dude is looking at the mechanics, not the woman's emotion and thoughts and feelings at that time. You understand the catastrophe. So, one answer to that scenario, with my description in safety, security, thoughts and feelings of a woman versus freedom, liberty, logic, how the man sees the world. Right, now here we go. Maybe the man should, after the blow up, right, the man should now think, okay, the woman would demand a sorry. Why did you do that? You didn't listen to me. Okay, the man would perhaps come at it like, yes, I didn't listen to you. I heard you, but I decided to do it because you do understand that I've been doing this in this sink for 20 years. And I've been seeing it happen for 20 years because, the guy is a fairly young guy, and he's been, his parents were also doing it, pouring oil down the sink. Yes, we shouldn't do it, it's not good for the environment. Well, okay. Okay, lady, this is the guy talking now. Mary, so why? Okay, I did it. Sorry it made you feel that way. I did it. So what makes you think that I shouldn't be pouring oil down the sink? And the woman was like, you shouldn't, you can't be pouring oil down the sink. It's not good for the environment. It stuffs up the sink, and it goes into the waterways, and it stuffs up the fish and all that sort of thing. Oh, okay. So, what should I be doing with the oil? Is one option. Would you like to carry away the oil? That sort of thing. Yeah, that could also end up in a nuclear blast. So is this your thoughts, or did your... This is the dude speaking again. What makes you think that... Because you just said you can't pour oil down the sink, it'll stuff up the sink, stuff up the pipes. But you didn't say about the fish and the waterways and the like, right? So that addition comes in later. If you're in a mental state, in an emotional state where you can discuss something. Yes, I'm butchering this. It could be better structured, but just like, I guess, the likes of Jordan Peterson do, they unpack things in lectures. So I'm trying to unpack on the fly. And this is where some insights can come into play, which far outperform preparation. So let's unpack. Let's continue to unpack. 21 minutes. It won't be too much longer, okay? I promise. So, I'm sorry it made you feel this way. This is the reason why I did it, because it's been happening for 20 years and it hasn't stuffed up the sink, and that was the primary that I understood from you, Mary. And Joe, let's call him Joe. That was his logic. So you do understand that, logic can mean that moment where the premise, the subject matter at hand was it'll burden the pipes, it'll stuff up the pipes. But the whole fish and waterways and environment came in later, and that's also in many ways an emotional and a feelings generated response, because we have the whole climate change and environmentalism subject in our society at the moment, obviously, right? So. And that's in a lot of ways very emotional and feelings based. I know that's a time bomb as well by saying that, but it could be another discussion for another time. But let's further unpack. I didn't think about the environment, Joe said. We had to get rid of the oil. But you can't be doing that. Well, Mary, did you suggest what I should do? No, of course not. You just can't be doing it. It was like, my mother says, I'm not sure exactly what her reasoning was, but it was just this limbic system sort of emotional sort of, don't do that because, okay, fair enough, you shouldn't be doing it, right? But Mary never really thought about the big picture reason of not doing it. Just don't do it. Don't do it. It's just, this emotion, just don't do it. And Joe thought, what the fuck, man? Just don't be an emotional woman. Down goes the oil. Yes, nuclear bomb. So sometimes rather than this 5 or 15 second sort of interaction, I'm gonna do it. Well, when you do it, guys, if you really want to, it's not really winning an argument, but having the right to bring your decision to explain why you did it and why you defied the woman's command. That may take 15 minutes, an hour a day. Ideally, for a man to win an argument or to only get into a position where to back up his decision to defy, to don't pour the oil down the sink, yes, it may have to take hours or days, or more than 15 seconds, that's for sure. So if you're not prepared to do that, well, that's why there's going to be ongoing stressors in relationships, with all that yelling and the resentment from the woman. So what's the matter in if it lasts for a few hours? What's the matter in how Joe navigates that few hours, where the few hours navigation for the woman is like, you can't be doing that, I told you, don't pour the oil down the sink. It's still, like, even after 20 minutes, it's still going to be an emotion if the dude hasn't done a good job in understanding the emotion. And to what extent, it's complicated. It's not this flat line understanding that women is all reason. All reason is emotion, feelings, and logic. It goes up to 80%, and then there's the logic woman. It's complicated, right? So a woman's personality, her intelligence level, her empathy, her agreeableness as a personality trait. Yes, the whole Big Five, Jordan Peterson bias here. It's complicated. If the woman is used to getting her own way no matter what, if she's a alpha woman or one of those 9 or 10 crazy women, the whole, the guys have this X and Y axis. There's the Y axis is from 1 to 10 in attractiveness, and the X axis is craziness. And the higher if she's a 9 or 10, the higher the crazy. It's just one of those things that guys talk about. But anyway, it's actually very insightful. So, yes, it's complicated. How's Joe going to navigate this? Yes, it might take 20 minutes, a few hours, or a few days, because there's a whole matrix. There's a different matrix of emotions and emotional level settling for the woman that you have to contend with, and also things like, to what extent is a woman sort of got one foot out the door relationship wise, whether there's going to be any settlement of this atomic explosion, this event, how secure in the relationship the woman is, to what extent she's looking for the next hypergamy step. Yes, the whole Kevin Samuels, Rich Cooper thing. Yes, even Stefan Molyneux understands the whole hypergamy thing in a positive note, though, not the negative note that the Rich Cooper perhaps indicated. Oh, that's a bit unfair, but it comes across as negative, but it's just acknowledging the nature of women. They have a natural state to strive for hypergamy, striving for a man of better status, class, resource, capability, even looks, than herself, and that's fine. But there are side effects in that, and I won't go into that by offering the nuclear option, the V-bomb, as some would like to term it as, that creates side effects. Anyway, But in mentioning hypergamy with the woman chasing resources, status, tall men, alphas and the like, men also have a form of hypergamy on the looks front, the spray and pray mating strategy or drives. Yes, you can see the whole complex just unraveling. You don't know the whole relationship dynamics of Joe and Mary, right? Right, it's complicated. So when I'm trying to unpack, you see the whole complexity. Just, you don't know how much resentment there's been for the last few days, weeks, months or years here. If there is any resentment, if she's looking for the next boat, is the dude just taking advantage of his access, if you know what I mean, and he's looking for his next opportunity, depending on the level of the relationship, what stage of life, if he's an alpha, beta, simp, whatever other concept you want to use about the guys, right? So the moral of the story, what I'm trying to get at, even though I've done a pretty crappy job at unpacking what really the suggestions of how to remedy the situation. There may not be remedy depending on the situation, right? But the guy has to take the initiative to sort this out, has to play the whole long game, not one hit, not a few minutes before you go to work or go to sleep. You need to play the long game, understanding the emotion, empathy, reciprocity, explanation from different angles, using anagrams, syllogisms, analogies, personal experience, sharing your own stories, understanding her story, understanding her history, understanding other people's history, comparing other people's thoughts and feelings and thoughts on oil and sinks. Oh my God, the whole oil and sink. Well, you do understand it's gone past the oil and the sink and the pipes. So, yes, I've gone from female nature, what women want, value, how they reason, to the whole event. But it's designed to illustrate that women are governed by their feelings and emotions, which is not entirely a bad thing. It's one of the reasons why we ended up in this relatively, historically speaking, historically comparative state of great living standards, particularly in the West. Yes, there are particular side effects, particular problems in our levels of comfort at the moment. But it's the women that drove that. Men invented things to make life easier for women. Life became easier for women. They had more time to use the whole Maslow's theory of needs and self-actualize and all that sort of thing, and embrace I guess feminism, and fourth and fifth wave feminism now I think it is, and the the whole SJW from 5 years ago and the whole woke thing now, yes, women have opportunity to participate in politics, issues in society, and because it's emotional and based on feelings, it's very hard for men to participate. It's very hard to participate with emotion and reason in 3 minutes. Let's face it, the mainstream media is based on these 30-second, 90-second and 3-minute type blurby news items, discussions, current affair, exposés. Yes, we have the whole 60 minutes format, documentaries, yada yada. Yes, we do, but the way the mainstream media, even in many ways increasingly, with the long form of YouTube, social media and the like, it's pretty hard to compete with emotion and feelings. That's why I guess most women, perhaps 80%, are on the left side of politics, because the left is very rights for all, Black Lives Matter, racism, public health, public education, tax the rich, all those sort of concepts are very left-centric, because, and that's why 80% of women vote for the left, or liberal political parties, Team Blue, Democrats, Labour here in Australia. The whole Liberal Labour thing in Australia, they're pretty much both on the left, but the Liberals are a little bit on the right, and that's why most men are on the Liberal side of voting. Labour is very more woke. Anyway, that's just a quick digression to give some scope on the Australian context. So even though I've butchered the what you should do in that situation, I've also indicated the complexity. So the men need to play the long game. I'm sorry you feel this way type thing. Let's go through it. Let's do a search on Google. What happens when you pour oil down a sink? Oh, this happens, that happens. Then take ownership. Joe has to take ownership. I see now, but you didn't know this, did you? Like, you just went from what your mother and father used to do, right? So now we know. I'm sorry I defied you. I didn't listen to you. Now we understand better. Maybe that's an approach. There's no wrong or right answer depending on the complexity of the relationship, right? Of course. So that's it. I hope I've given some insights in the whole nature of women, and I could do a whole, that's another episode, what women want, and that'll be interesting to unpack that one. So that's all for now. Until the next episode. Thanks for, if you listen to the whole 40-ish minutes of episode 3. I appreciate it. I envisage there'll be much more, because I feel passionate about living the red flag life. Even though this wasn't a particular red flag reference. Most of us do have red flags in our lives. It's just one of the subject matters that are part of the red flag, the whole beautiful equals crazy, single mums, all that sort of thing. Women sometimes need to be mammals to survive. And yes, they do have responsibilities to provide for their kids, and they only have certain tools at their disposal. And some of those tools are access to the atomic option, the V-bomb, and that's why you never find too many homeless women. They just need to provide access. They have shelter, right? I know people get upset at that sort of thought too, but come on. It's real. Okay, so that's just further insight. Yes, I know I was signing off. Consider me signed off now then.